This is probably going to be one of the weirdest videos that I've uploaded to this channel because this is completely non-traditional from the car vlogs that I'm typically uploading with a GoPro on my head like an idiot. So I do apologize in advance if this is different. If you don't want to watch this, don't. But if you are interested in this kind of stuff, then I am glad to have you. This is it's just a 6 YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. But today we're going to be talking specifically about Tesla's new Cybertruck. We were all at lunch a minute ago. I found out about it personally a few hours after they revealed it and just immediately went and placed my order on one. So that is pretty cool. I went ahead and got the tri-motor pretty specced out. So anyways though, let's start off with Tesla's website and kind of go through the announcement of the Cybertruck, and we have everybody here that's going to kind of jump in and talk about a little bit of the features that they have, from the design of it to the capabilities and everything. I mean, there's a lot to talk about. This truck is honestly insane. It's the weirdest thing on the market right now. It's definitely easily the biggest topic of discussion right now in the automotive industry. So let's just dive right into it. First off, the opening thing on Tesla's website that you see is as better utility than a truck with more performance than a sports car, which is very interesting. And I think the biggest thing that sticks out to me, especially being that I am a performance car enthusiast, is the fact that they claim a 0 to 60 time in 2.9 seconds on the tri-motor edition, which is pretty wild. I've got a list right here of the top 10 quickest all-wheel drive sports cars on the market right now, and number 10, 0 to 60, is only 3.2 seconds. So already this Tesla truck is in the top 10. Number one fastest right now is the 2015 Porsche 918 Spyder at 2.4 seconds. So a mere half second slower, and you've got the Tesla Cybertruck, which is really, really wild. At 2.9 seconds, you're looking at comparison with the 2014 Nissan GTR Track Edition and the 2017 Porsche 911 Targa 4 GTS.
Imagine you're going through your, mid-50s midlife crisis, you buy your nice Corvette and then get gapped by a truck.
Yep.
A lot of cool features have obviously surfaced about this truck. I mean, they've presented it as it's super aerodynamic. I mean, you could just look at this thing and yeah, okay, obviously, but that's also one of the more controversial topics is how this damn thing looks. But another feature I think that caught a lot of people's attention, especially mine, is that this thing is bulletproof. Maybe. It says here it's made out of 3mm thick, ultra hard, cold rolled stainless steel alloy. That's what they use in.
That's what I was about to say. So they're using the exact same material, which was the what is it? The 30X.
The SpaceX
alloy. Yeah, they're using that
rocket.
Right. So they're using the same material that they used to make the SpaceX Starship rocket or whatever.
Yeah.
They're going to space, which is what we're gonna dive into a little theory here in a minute that Nick had. But they're using the exact same material that they're using on their spaceship on this truck.
It says here,
interesting.
It handles a sledgehammer fine, or they've tested it resistant to 9mm ammunition. So okay, if somebody comes at you with a Glock or an MP5, you're good, or a sledgehammer, but
it's wild to think that a truck is practically bulletproof.
So they're talking about the metal on the truck, not the
right.
glass.
Well, the glass, that goes into the same thing. So Tesla also, whenever they revealed this truck, talked about how this glass is like their armor glass, is what they're calling it. And the armor glass is supposed to be practically unbreakable or impenetrable, obviously with limits, as they found out during the reveal of the truck. Whenever they had it out and they were revealing it, and Elon Musk was actually showing off the different features of it and the different capabilities and everything. He was talking about the glass. And whenever they went to test it, Nick said, right?
Yeah, so a lot of skeptics saw that happen, and they're like, oh, dude, he threw a ball bearing at it and it shattered a little bit. But here's the thing.
Twice.
The whole
he was like, we'll fix that.
It's just like the impact point shattered.
It didn't go through.
It cracked the glass, but it did not penetrate the glass. So
and
technically,
to argue the skeptics, like true bulletproof glass will allow for shatter but not penetration. So that's the important part there. We couldn't tell from the video last night if penetration occurred. But there was, it did shatter. So I don't know, maybe that's not a huge breaking point for me. I mean, the truck looks pretty freaking tough.
Regardless, it's stronger windows.
Something else that I do want to address is that along with the same line, better utility than a truck and more performance than a sports car. We addressed the sports car 0 to 60, but the interesting thing also is it says better utility than a truck, and they kind of took some jabs at Ford with their F-150 if you saw that. But I think the most interesting part to me is that the tri-motor version, the all-wheel drive version that I was talking about that I spec'd out and everything, everything. It has a, what is it, 13,000 pound? 14,000 pound towing capacity, which is really wild for an electric vehicle. I mean, considering the fact that like I'm looking outside at my Duramax. So I've got a 2009 Duramax that I use as my tow truck right now whenever we go to events and things like that. I've got a very big trailer. It's interesting to see that my Duramax towing capacity is at 13,000 pounds, whereas this Tesla truck is at another half ton more than that at 14,000 pounds. That's a very interesting market to be touching on with an electric truck.
Speaking of markets,
it's just wild.
Right. Speaking of markets, like what market is Elon Musk going for here? I mean, you've got an electric truck that looks like, quote, a DeLorean had a baby with an El Camino. All right, so it can compete with your typical pickup truck market. I don't know if we'll see traditional pickup truck drivers adopting this yet.
I'm gonna say no.
No, I would be surprised if they do, but he's targeting them. This thing can outperform them. It might not outshine them in terms of appearance yet, but that's all subjective. But it can definitely outperform like your F-150 or your Silverado. Another market I'd be interested to see is if, you know, people who have historically never bought a pickup truck would be
inclined to buy this versus your traditional F-150 or anything like that. Also, speaking of the whole truck market and everything, I do want to bring up the fact that during the reveal of the Cybertruck, Elon was talking and he was like, you need a truck, or our truck, or something like that. He was like, our truck is real tough, not fake tough, or something like that. And then directly after plays a clip of the Cybertruck having a tug of war with an F-150 and just like dragging the wheels off of it, which is kind of funny. But it's interesting talking to the the best-selling truck right now, the Ford F-150, and kind of taking jabs at them. And I'm interested to see how people's reactions are going to be, like they were talking about with the truck market. And we noticed also, well, Jake brought this up a minute ago, as soon as this whole entire thing happened, we saw Tesla stock drop about 5% today after Tesla had been on a climb. So it was...
Somebody said, hey Siri.
Nice. Anyways, though, Tesla stock was kind of like on an uphill climb, but then as soon as that happened, it completely dropped. It was direct correlation that it dropped 5%. And I think that's just because of a lot of people's skepticism of the truck. And I think
what is it?
The reason why is confusion, because no one, A, knows what it is, and B, they have no idea. They can't look at this thing. CNN called it a trapezoid on wheels. You can't look at it and know anything about it right now. It's so weird.
Well, like, how bold do you have to be? Like Elon Musk, you've got balls, bro. How bold do you have to be? One, to not only put something out that literally looks like this, but also while doing it simultaneously headhunt the biggest truck manufacturer for the last 40 years.
No kidding.
You're like, I'm coming for you.
That's crazy, yeah.
He's reaching also into a luxury market, dude. Have you like the airlift suspension in this thing and the adaptive suspension?
Right. So speaking of, there's a lot of crazy things like we were talking about with the luxury market. The weirdest thing to me right now that I've seen about this truck is the fact that it has this spec option where you can get a camper, like a tent basically, where the bed of the truck expands into a tent and it lifts up, but the tent is actually climate controlled, heated and cooled inside the tent, which is interesting with bedding and everything, which is, you can actually sleep there. But then Tesla's now got this little four-wheeler that they offer that slides up into the truck, and you can unload your four-wheeler, lift up your tent, and you've got a climate controlled tent with a four-wheeler and everything sitting out of this one stationary truck, which is insane. It seats 6 people. The air suspension that he was talking about a minute ago, it will actually lower the rear and lift the front so that you can have ease of loading.
Speaking of the four-wheeler, if you want to load your nice new Tesla four-wheeler up in there, not only will the tailgate drop down extend a ramp for you, but the airlifts and adaptive suspension gives it a freaking Cali squat so that, you know, you can get up there nice and easy. This thing looks insane.
That just seems like the most, I don't know, the weirdest flex of somebody who has a lot of money but just wants to go camping, so they do it in a Tesla truck, and it's AC.
It's bold.
Because there's no practical reason to have it.
So let's talk about practicality versus
flex.
Form and how it looked, design. I think that's obviously the most controversial point about this entire video, or about the entire truck, is the aerodynamics that you can clearly see on this vehicle. Is it worth the appearance here? I don't know.
That's what we were talking about kind of before we even started this video, was if the design that they were going for, if the engineering behind it is actually efficient enough for people to kind of overcome the looks of it. They made it so aerodynamic, in fact, that the truck does not even have windshield windshield wipers, for instance, because it's so aerodynamic that they claim it doesn't even need them. The water will literally just roll off. It cannot stick to it. Also, I think going back to the off-road capabilities of it, obviously it's all-wheel drive. It comes stock with 35-inch all-terrain tires, which is cool. The entire bottom of the truck, obviously there's no drivetrain down there, so there's not really much that you could, I guess, technically damage, but it does come with a full skid plate, and it's a flat bottom truck with 15 inches of ground clearance, which is huge. That's a pretty good little gap. I don't know exactly what he was trying to target, exactly like we were talking about.
So it's like, is now the time to start talking about the wild theory that we think?
Because it's kind of going back into it. Because you sit and you think, you're like, okay, is this a street truck? Is this an off-road truck? Is this what is this thing?
It seems like it serves a greater purpose than anybody on Earth has a use for.
It can handle it can handle extreme off-roading.
It can handle extreme conditions, period.
Extreme conditions.
It's corrosion resistant because of the And now it's ironic that they use the same material on the body of the car that their spaceships do.
Yeah, and they're also building a feature into it to where the bed cover is a solar panel.
So the solar panel on the truck, he's actually working currently on making the truck basically self-sufficient. So that way, you do not need to charge the truck at all. But instead, what happens is the solar panel on the bed of the truck, it's like a sliding tonneau cover kind of. And they're trying to make that to basically make the truck run without having to charge it. Currently, right now, I read that it is set up currently to be able to generate about 15 miles of charge per day, while he's been working on some concepts with fold-out solar rings or solar wings that could potentially pull in 30 to 40 miles per day. But they're really trying to work on making it completely self-sufficient, which kind of rolls into the theory that he has.
Wait, 30 to 40 miles or hours?
Miles.
Also, to add to this, that also I just found out has a state-of-the-art BioWare air filtration system, so that the entire cabin in there is self-sustained up to like a certain amount of time. If there's a gas attack outside and you're in the truck, the BioWare air filtration system, it's got you covered.
Or if there was some kind of storm where there's a lot of rocks flying.
You got bulletproof glass and you've got 3 millimeter thick
body, pretty
stainless
much.
steel space grade body there.
Right.
So let's add this all up, and what do you get is basically our theory that this is just basically a test run for his Mars ground vehicle. This is
Mars Rover. That's literally it. That's got to be it. That's got to be it. Reason being is because of his affiliation with SpaceX. Yeah, right. Look at it. Everything's bulletproof. It's got an onboard light bar at the top of the windshield. There's no windshield wipers because in space, why the fuck would you need windshield wipers?
Exactly.
For one.
The only thing I can think of would be dirt. Vehicles get dirty, but you have to get the dirt off somehow. That's the only thing I can think that you would need windshield wipers for. But I mean, if the arrow actually,
I don't know how space works, but I don't know if there's even.
I don't know.
Can there be wind?
There's raining mercury on what?
Vacuum?
Jupiter?
Mars, this would work perfectly for Mars. Mars is essentially just one big off-road orange sand dune.
It looks like it belongs.
With this adaptive suspension and just bulletproof glass and body panels here, we're looking at imagine taking an actual Halo Warthog and going on.
Right.
I think that's what this is. It's essentially a trial run. He's like, let's see how these do.
This is all obviously completely just
Theory.
In theory, and speculative. Obviously, it makes sense. Everything, all the features of this thing just point in the direction of the fact that this has got to be some kind of a space rover.
There's a lot of comments.
If it's not, it should be.
And Nick brought up a very valid point. If someone is going to create a space rover, and especially the same person who wants to see humanity inhabit Mars, why would he not release these vehicles now to try to get people introduced to the concept of these space vehicles?
Or just for out there field testing for it.
Right, or field testing, right.
Because a lot of critics are like, this is way overkill for a daily driver. It's like, well,
because that's not what it's
probably,
for.
that's probably the point.
I'm waiting for whenever he announces that it's a completely sealed ecosystem inside of it. So that way, you go into space, you don't need oxygen or anything.
Not quite. Not quite to where it's like a spaceship self-sufficient.
Well, but you know what I mean? It'll you don't have to worry about atmospheric pressure.
Hey, we're taking our first trip to Mars. If you have one of these trucks, drive it into the actual shuttle, and we're going up.
Ooh, boy, that'd be
because then you're ready to go.
Also,
or what if
a little Easter egg here.
What if the actual deposit, the $100, is that if you actually go through with it, you get a free
ticket?
You get a free, that's your ticket to Mars, and to actually take your vehicle.
Actually, let me touch on that because I did mention that I bought one, but didn't exactly explain how. So the interesting thing I think about these, they're predicting that they're going to be making 175,000 of these in the year 2020 alone, which honestly is wild. Well, not really crazy because if you think about it, Ford, their F-150 line, I believe they produce around 1 million units a year. So obviously that's a little bit shy of that by a large majority. But anyways, back to what I was saying. You can actually get your order and reserve your spot for one for only $100 right now. And to me, it's very interesting, because why would it be that cheap when their Roadster, for instance, whenever I looked in, I'm very interested in all the electric vehicles, but whenever the Roadster came out and they first announced it and unveiled it and everything, just like this is going on, the reserve spots, it was obviously a $250,000 vehicle, but I believe you had to put, I can't remember exactly, but I think you had to put 50% down, or it was a ton of money, long story short. It's just interesting that now, I don't know if it's a marketing scheme or what the deal is, but I can imagine that would be the only thing in my head, is to have people like me saying like, hey, I just bought a Tesla truck for $100, and yes, it's crazy, but now whoever is watching this video, you know about it, and we're obviously making this entire video about it, so I mean, maybe it's the smartest thing he's ever done, who knows.
Marketing wise too, I think he knew that this was going to be a really hard idea and vehicle
hard
to
sell.
adopt.
It's a hard
so
sell.
He said, hey, if I get everybody to invest $100 into it now, easy level of entry, a lot of people are going to be into it, very few, or at least a lower percentage will actually cancel, and you just don't want to go through the process of having to cancel this down payment that you put on because of the excitement of it actually existing.
I mean, even if 1% of the U.S. population, we were talking about this earlier, 1% of the U.S. population spends $100 down, they've got hundreds of $millions to invest into this concept, which I doubt at this point they need, but it's fascinating to me. I don't know, this whole entire thing is just, I really do think, like you were saying, there's something hidden behind all of this. There's gotta be. It just doesn't make sense for someone to be that radical in the automotive industry right now, with everyone leaning towards like Chevy, for instance, leaning towards their like Italian looking cars with the C8 Corvette and everything, right?
More shape.
The sleek and rounded, and he's going so like
you get a car
against
right
the
here
grain,
where every edge on it just
You
has
could
a point
remake
A and a point B. There's no travel in between.
Right.
There's
You
no
could make it
curves.
with
It's just like
plywood.
it's just wild to me to see a truck with a 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds.
Man,
Wild.
So it's just an insane design. It's incredibly controversial. I think it's freaking amazing. I'm excited to see where this goes.
But you also drive a Civic.
Yeah.
Your Civic kind
And
of
this
looks
car
similar.
has more range than
It's a truck.
my this truck, excuse me. It just, I don't even know what to call it, but it has more range.
Yeah,
than
let
my
me go
Civic.
back to
It's
that.
also
That's a
an
good
SUV
point.
though.
So it's got 500 miles
on the fully loaded.
on the fully loaded version. You've got a range of 500 miles. Whereas we were talking about this a minute ago, my Duramax, which has a lower towing capacity, does not have anywhere near that. So I'm curious if this truck is going to be able to be a replacement or even a competitor for people that use diesel trucks like I use mine for. Is it going to have 500 miles towing? I highly doubt it, but I'm curious of how it's going to actually perform towing vehicles or towing trailers or whatever you're going to be towing. Specifically because that's really the reason why I really wanted to get one, is just to try it out and kind of see what that market looks like. I don't know.
Yeah, let us know what you think in the comments about the theory behind this car. Is it just, the smaller piece of a big picture here that we're seeing? Is it going to replace diesels? And let us know what you think about this design, this incredibly controversial design.
It is hugely controversial. They have 6 seats in this, and inside of it, if you look at the inside of the cabin, pictures of it, the roof is glass. First off, there's little LED light strips on the side of the head where the headliner would be, but there's not a headliner anymore, it's just glass. And also, the space inside of there is beyond this world. It's crazy, but it's interesting because obviously this does not have any powertrain like a typical gas combustion engine would have, where there's a transmission and all that. So the floorboard can legitimately go down to the very bottom of the vehicle, which creates a lot of room. It's almost like an F1 car steering wheel, where it's just 2 little pieces on the side to steer from, which is
That's what
interesting.
the Roadster has.
Seats are cool.
The Roadster has that too. This
What if you
is the thing that I'm the most impressed about, I think, is that you can look at the top end model of this truck, fully optioned out, which is what I pre-ordered, and it is only $77,000, which is very competitive because you can go look at a fully loaded diesel truck. Yeah, you can easily get into a 6-figure MSRP from some of the diesel trucks that are out right now, which is insane.
Well, yeah, Caleb just said it looks like a lifted Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Lifted Lamborghini with the front end and another front end.
That's interesting. It does look like a lifted Lambo. Good lord, that's awesome.
Yeah, like from all the movies growing up, like iRobot and Total Recall, stuff like that, where they got all the really weird looking cars that float around. We're like, there's no way cars will ever look like that in the future. Why would you put that in a movie? And then there's this.
That really is crazy, yeah. That's
Actually,
that's weird how that
a little
works.
Easter egg, funny you mention it. If you've seen Blade Runner.
Yes, exactly. That is
hold on.
exactly it.
This is people are calling this a Blade Runner-esque looking truck. And it's funny, in the movie Blade Runner, it takes place in the climate-induced apocalypse of Los Angeles, November 2019. Coincidence that this truck was unveiled in November of 2019.
This is some Simpsons right here. There's so many conspiracy theories now.
Well,
That's
actually,
crazy.
okay, so
It's going to be interesting the day that like one of the next presidents in the future gets elected while he's on Mars or something. I don't know. It'd be
Born on Mars. Are they considered
U.S. presidents.
Extraterrestrials.
yeah, are they even like citizens of Earth? How does citizenry
Citizenship.
occur? Does it go by planet now? Will they still be United States of America on Mars?
This is going so far.
I know, we're going far, but anyway, I think
I want to go further.
close this
Yeah.
now before we get too
I
far
got-
off.
It's also funny how so many people don't even think that it's real. They're like, no,
I didn't
this is a
think it was
scam. Yeah, I showed Daniel. I was like, I just ordered this. And I thought he was going to be like, no way. And he's like, that's not real. I was like, yes, it is. And then I look online and like the most Google search term today is like, is the Tesla Cybertruck real?
I thought it was a prototype.
It does. It looks like a concept.
I thought it was fake.
You think Elon's just like rolling? The dude's just laughing his ass off.
We only made
He's
one.
like, everybody
He's
thinks
like,
this is real.
everybody's losing their damn minds.
He's like, all I did
Probably.
I think that's why
Probably
he
like a
does all
super
this
villain.
stuff.
He's just like, it's actually funny. David Dobrik posted on his story. He was there and he was watching it and he was like, he zoomed in on me. He's like, he looks like a super villain. He looks like a super villain. Holy
Oh, that's hilarious. They're talking about the meme where Elon Musk is sitting there smoking and he's like, I got an idea.
Truck also has onboard power for plugging in tools and other appliances.
Yeah, it's
This
a
is
space
so.
rover.
This is so from Mars.
This is
It's just a
definitely
prototype.
from Mars,
It's from
dude.
Mars.
If it's not like a spaceship or
I wonder if
fancy
anyone else has had this theory yet.
I don't know, but I'm
Wow.
curious to see.
Nick had the theory first, putting that out
I
there.
tweeted it first.
It
You heard
just
here
looks
first,
like
so.
it. You just look at it and you see this thing belonging on another planet.
It looks like eventually they're gonna have a boat motor sticking out the back of it, and it's just gonna become like a giant jet ski.
So I guess that is going to be a wrap for this video. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about it. Like I said, I've got my deposit placed. I don't know exactly when I even receive any updates on when I'm going to get it, but who knows? It is ordered. That's all I know. So yeah, I really don't know. It is very exciting because just even thinking about the theory about this being a Mars rover and everything is wild. And if we just happen to be right, that would be so sick. I wonder if we're the first people ever to have this theory right now.
Probably
I'm
not.
gonna look up SpaceX theories.
People think of some weird shit.
If Elon
Call him
Musk
out.
sees this, I hope he reaches out to us at some point. That would
Oh yeah, by far.
just to be like, hey, you were right.
Cybertruck conspiracy
Or
theory.
like, I hope he doesn't.
Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Comment down below. Like I said, there's a lot of controversy going on about this truck right now. No surprise, obviously. Anytime there is something completely radical like this go on the market, just like the C8 Corvette, you're gonna have controversy. This just happens to be a whole new league of different. So, anyways, I'll see you guys next video.
Running on, running on. Yeah, that's right. Tell these bitches please stay in your lane, move along. Might take a trip across the pond just to flex. Papa saying, yeah, we got a long flight home. Say she got a man, but that ring is gone. She my greatest fan, play this song, she sing along.